Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new here. Today's video is going to be a very exciting one. It's going to be all about newborn sleep and how to get your baby to sleep consistently throughout the night and to have a kind of loose schedule and routine throughout the day. A little disclaimer, I am not a sleep professional whatsoever, not a doctor. I'm just a second-time mom that really thrives on having some form of routine. And I did that with my daughter, who is now 2, and then I just had a little baby boy, and he is 5 weeks now. So I'm doing the same thing this time because it worked so well the last time. I know schedules and sleep and all things that have to do with a schedule for a baby is very, there's a lot of different sides to it. And so this video is going to be one where we are talking about having your baby on a routine. So if that's not something that you're looking for or interested in, it probably wouldn't be the best video for you. That is what we're going to be sharing today. And I just want to know, whatever you are doing, whatever is best for your family and your baby is great. This is what we do. And people have asked me, how I've gotten my babies to be, quote, good sleepers. And so these are just some of the tips and tricks. Not every day is going to be the same. Not every day is going to be perfect. And you just have to know that as a mom too. Like, it's never going to be, if you follow this, you're going to get this result. That's just not how babies work. So that is just a little disclaimer that I wanted to put out there. Not a professional, just a second-time mom, just trying to do her best and share some of the tips that have worked with me for the rest of the world. So what I have loosely followed when it comes to sleep for your baby is the taking care of babies and the baby-wise philosophies. So taking care of babies is the more updated version of baby-wise. Baby-wise is probably what our parents used back then. And I actually have the book and I did read that with Amelia. So I did utilize that for her, and I've been bringing that into our daily life with Milo as well. And then taking care of babies, it's a more updated, modern version. And so she does have a course that I'll have linked down below, but I will let you know that I have never paid for any course from her. But she does have an Instagram that has all of these resources that are available to anybody and are free. So that is kind of what I have used and have found to be super helpful. Okay, so let's start off from the beginning. So right when you come back from the hospital, you do not need to have any sort of routine, schedule, or anything like that. At that point, it's really just, enjoying your time with your baby, surviving, making sure that they're feeding every 2 to 3 hours, and really getting that their birth weight back up and making sure that they're really good and healthy and preparing them to be better sleepers in the future. You really do not need to have any form of schedule at all, probably for the first at least 2 to 3 weeks. And then you can start thinking about it more at 3 weeks and implementing it at 4. That's what we did and has worked well for us. And I was even a lot more lenient this time, the second time around. Just having a toddler in the mix kind of makes things a little bit more challenging, but definitely just make sure that you're just enjoying time with your baby, making sure they're feeding consistently, cluster feeding, all the things like that at the beginning. You don't need to worry about a schedule at all. So when your baby's about 4 weeks and you want to start some sort of routine, loose schedule, this is the time where you need to make sure that you're having appropriate wake windows for your baby. Wake windows are exactly what it sounds like. That is the amount of time from when they wake up to the time that they go back to sleep for their next nap. Wake windows for your newborn are very short. So it can range anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes in the very beginning to it can get upwards of 90 minutes once they get closer to that 3-month range. Right now Milo is at right about 60 minutes. So just an hour wake window is about typical, and that way you can kind of plan your day around. So I follow the wake windows and the eat, play, sleep schedule. What that means is if your baby wakes up at 7 o'clock, then you would start the feed right away. And then if that lasts about, 20 minutes, then you would move on to their playtime. So that includes diaper changes, tummy time, singing to your baby, walks, all the things that you want to do just to, interact with your baby before you put them down for bed. But it's quick because that feeding time is included in the wake window. So if your baby takes longer to feed, 30 minutes, then they really only have 30 minutes of playtime. I will upload a picture here of what Milo's schedule is throughout the day. This is his 1-month schedule. So I follow this schedule really loosely. Not every day is going to look exactly the same. You don't need to be, stuck in your house all day, making sure that they nap at this consistent time. You can go out, still live your life, and still try to follow somewhat of a structure, but it doesn't need to be like so very rigid. And I learned that this time, just kind of going with the flow, but making sure that your baby is still getting, adequate naps throughout the day. The reason why that is important is because if your baby is sleeping well throughout the day, that's going to carry into the night. It goes kind of contrary to what you would think. If your baby is overly tired throughout the day, not sleeping well, not napping, you're probably going to think, oh, they're so tired, they're going to sleep so well at night tonight. That's actually not the case. That just leads to an overly tired baby that is going to be so exhausted, fussy, and just done with the day when it comes time for night, and they're not going to sleep well then. So here I have Milo's schedule, as you can see, and I just kind of have it as that he wakes up at 8 o'clock. Like I said, this is not the same every day. Like this today it was 7, so I'll kind of adjust it as needed. But this one that I have laid out says 8 o'clock, he'll play at 8:30, sleep from 9 to 11. He would eat, go down again from 12 to 2, eat, play, go to sleep from 3 to 5, eat, play, sleep from 6 to 7:30, and that's just an hour and a half of sleep, or an hour. At that point, he doesn't nap as much. So as you can see, those other naps were 2 hours long. And what I want to note with that is to make sure that during the day, you are waking your baby up before that 3-hour mark. You definitely need to make sure that baby is getting full feedings every 3 hours at least throughout the day, because that is when they're going to get their calories throughout the day, and making sure that they're full and not going to wake up a lot of times throughout the night to get their calories that way. So if your baby's wake window ends up being longer than that hour, then unfortunately the nap is going to have to be less than 2 hours, because you can't reach that, oh, it's been 4.5 hours since the baby's last ate. It's not good throughout the day because they're not getting those consistent calories that they're going to need. Something that both of my babies definitely struggled with was the day and night confusion. So helping your baby get that circadian rhythm correct is really important. What you can do to help with that is making sure that during the day they are realizing that this is daytime, not nighttime. And some ways to kind of help them with that is making sure that they're seeing the light. So going outside, weather permitting, taking walks, making sure they're getting exposed to the sunlight. And then if you're inside, having their bassinet by the window during the day. And this is really important, especially in those really early newborn days, because once they get a little bit older, I'm more consistently having them in their crib for bedtime with, darkened room, white noise, stuff like that. So when I get to that point, I like to already have their day and nights figured out. So in that, very beginning stages is when it's important to get them used to what the day is, what the night is, and making sure that they, know the difference. Another thing to go along with that, which is something that I just had mentioned, is making sure to limit those naps to 2 hours. Because if they are napping a lot during the day and pretty much sleeping all day, they're going to think that that's, nighttime. So if they're sleeping, pretty much throughout the whole entire day, when it comes time to nighttime, they've got it reversed. So, as us adults, we're up during the day and then we sleep at night. They're like, oh, shoot, I just slept throughout the whole day. Now it's nighttime and I'm ready to party. So making sure that they're not, sleeping the whole daytime period is really important. Talking about nap times, this is where I am a lot more flexible during the day and not as scheduled, especially at this point right now. Once my baby gets a little bit older, I think I'll be more, rigid with the schedule. Not even rigid, just follow it more. But since I have a toddler and him, and I'm still not I haven't even returned to work yet, I'm just kind of going with the flow of the day. I am filming this video and he is napping right here. So it's I just got to do what I got to do. And that's a big thing that I want to say is just do what you have to do, but use the, sleep tips in a way that you can to help your baby and help yourself form better sleep habits, but you don't have to be so rigid about it. But what I do for nap times when I have more of a consistent nap time routine is making sure that you have certain triggers for your baby that let them know this is what I do before nap time and before I'm going to go to sleep. So for nap time, what I do is I make sure to have the noise machine on. I'll use either white noise or the ocean sound. And then I also make sure to have, a really dark room. So I get blackout curtains. Clearly don't have these right now, and he is good sleeping, in the daytime without any blackout curtains. You don't have to be, so rigid about it, is what I just keep saying. But I've learned that so much this time. Okay, so moving on to the nighttime and getting your baby to sleep, good stretches of sleep throughout the night. At the beginning, the hospital is recommending that you're waking up every 2 to 3 hours, making sure to feed your baby consistently, which I definitely was doing, and it is important to do in those first stages. But once, you get to that 1 month checkup, you can check with your pediatrician, make sure that your baby is gaining weight appropriately, is back to their birth weight, and if it's safe for them to start sleeping longer stretches and you not waking them up at that 3-hour mark. At the beginning, I had a timer on my phone, so every 3 hours, I would have the timer go off. If baby didn't wake up, and would go and feed the baby. So once your baby is, big enough and healthy enough to sleep longer, if it is okay by your pediatrician, you can start to, let them sleep longer. If you're going to start allowing your baby to sleep longer than that 3-hour mark, don't be worried that they are going to starve themselves or get too hungry, because a baby is not going to starve themselves. They will wake up and let you know if they need something or if they're hungry. Don't be worried about that. They will sleep for the amount of time that their body will, allow them to and what they need. What I try to follow, and it's not the same for every baby, it's not the same every night, but if your baby is, 4 weeks, they can sleep 4-hour stretches at a time. If your baby's 5 weeks, sleep 5 hours, 6 weeks, 6 hours, and then by 12 weeks, you could expect close to a full 12 hours of sleep. So what I have found very helpful is to move your baby out of the bassinet in your room into their own crib pretty early on. The reasonings for this is your baby will stir and make sounds and fuss throughout the whole night, and it would just keep me up. I would think that my babies were just constantly up throughout the night. I would go check on them. It would just keep me up all night. Once I move them to the crib, it is just a game changer and better for everybody involved. Better for me, better for my husband, better for the baby. It just changes everything. I don't even know how. So a little backstory. Milo was in our room in the bassinet, and he was not sleeping at all. He hated to be swaddled. He was in the Halo swaddle, the Ollie swaddle, the Love to Dream, because he likes his arms up. I knew he was getting full feedings because I could feel my breasts emptying. I would also top with a bottle, or I would use a bottle instead just to make sure that he was getting feedings. I would put him down, and he would just scream, cry, not want to go to sleep. There was several nights where he was up for 4 hours straight, and I was just like, what am I doing wrong? I don't remember this happening last time. And so we ended up moving him to his own bed and using a new swaddle that I got that was a actual game changer. So I want to share this swaddle with you guys because swaddling is very important. So the game changer swaddle that we came across was the Julian Baby weighted swaddle. So what's amazing about this is it inside has a swaddle. So this is for the 0 to 6 month range. So you can, swaddle your baby up in this. The sack part here is gently weighted. So it has these little beads in it that provide a very light, gentle weight all on the front of your baby, so that when they're laying on their back and sleeping at night, it gives them that comfort that they're being touched, held, because it has this light weight on it. Something about it, my baby and so many of my friends swear by. We put him in his crib and put him in this, and he slept, I think it was 5 or 6 hours straight. And the night before, he was up for 4 hours straight. It was an actual game changer. And so we've just had him in his bed using this every night. Love this so much. It seriously is so amazing, and I am one of their ambassadors, so I do have a discount code, which is EmmaZ. It will get you 15% off. So I definitely recommend getting one of these sleep sacks. It seriously changes everything. Definitely making sure that they have, a swaddle that is right for them. This one might not be right for your baby, but it is right for ours and a lot of my friends. It has worked so well for as well. So just making sure that you find a swaddle that your baby loves is going to be really important. What I have found that has drastically helped bedtime go smooth and has had that first stretch of sleep to go, long as possible is to have a very good and consistent bedtime routine. So what that looks like for our family is doing a bath. With my first daughter, Amelia, since we just had her, we would do a bath every night with Milo we do not do that. It's just not realistic. But if you're a first time mom, I definitely recommend, having a very consistent routine. So like we would do bath time every night. You don't have to wash their hair every night. Put them in the water. It calms them and it lets them know, bedtime is coming. So we would do the bath. We would come in the room, make sure that the room was dark, have a very dim light on, have the sound machine on, and then I would dry baby off, put lotion on, get the pajamas on, sit in the rocking chair, breastfeed, and then swaddle. And I would used to feed baby when they were swaddled, but that would get them too sleepy. So I recommend, making sure that they have a full feeding by having them unswaddled for their feeding and then swaddling them after. Another tip is if you're not sure that your baby is getting full feedings by the breast, or you're just wanting to make sure that they're getting, those 4 to 5 ounces before bed, you can do a bottle feeding for that last feeding before the bedtime. I know some people that will even, supplement with some formula because their baby sleeps a little bit better if they have, formula in their system as well. So that's something that you could try if you feel like your baby is not, really sleeping well. Just, making sure that they're getting that full feeding by giving them a bottle if they'll take it. So now that you have your baby swaddled, fed, ready for bed, we're going to talk about the 5 S's of sleep. So this is kind of the routine that you can follow to, get your baby ready and tired before you put them down. And it's important that you put them down to sleep drowsy and tired, but not fully asleep and not fully awake. And I will say, sometimes I put my baby down fully awake and I'll just come in every 5 minutes. And this is especially for nap times, and just try to soothe him. Sometimes it's not I don't have time to get him in that drowsy state, especially with the toddler. So make note of that. But you don't want to put them in their bed fully asleep because then they don't learn how to go to sleep themselves or self-soothe. And I would find anyway that if my baby fell asleep at the breast and then I set them down, they would instantly wake up and then I would just start the whole process over again. So I genuinely don't even know how people have their baby go to sleep and then they can transfer them. It's just never worked for me. So, but the 5 S's of sleep are to swaddle. So making sure that your baby has their arms down or their arms up, just in a way that's tight to them that will make them feel secure. And then the next one is the side or stomach position. And this is not in their bed. This is just going to be when you're holding them. So I hold my baby to the side and just really close. And so their face is kind of facing my breast, kind of it would be when you are breastfeeding. So hold them like that while they're swaddled. The next S is shushing. So that could be the white noise machine, or you simply yourself can just go shh, 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 so that they're hearing that noise. It's consistent every night and it's soothing to them. And then the next S is swinging. So that's just a gentle rocking motion, a swaying of your baby. And then the last S is sucking. So we do utilize a pacifier, and the pacifier that I find works the best, that actually stays in a baby's mouth, is the Tommy Tippy. They're not the cutest, but they work so well. They're just very flat. So they stay flat on baby's face like this. And they're small. The nipple is not too long. So both of my babies have really liked that one. So I will have it linked down below because I swear by that one. So the Tommy Tippy pacifiers are great. So once you've done that and you set your baby down in their crib for the night, walk out the room and then just monitor them. After 5 minutes, if they're crying still, then you can go in and start to soothe them. And so what I try to do with that is, do very little things at first and then kind of work your way up. So I would start by just placing your hand on your baby, see if that soothes them and if that, gets them drowsy again and back to sleep. If that's not working, then I start to just kind of rub in between the nose or kind of rub the head. Both of my babies really like that, and that instantly gets them to close their eyes. Making sure that their pacifier is back in. I know this is kind of I hate kind of relying on the pacifier. I found that with Milo, if his pacifier comes out, then he's crying again. So I have to go back in the room, put it back in, and then once, he has the pacifier in, I do this, he's soothed, and then usually he'll just fall asleep and the pacifier will come out. And then once he's actually asleep, then he's fine. He doesn't need it back in. And then if that's not working, then you can, pick them up and rock them. So it's just important to start with the least invasive things first. So the hand, then the touching of the head, the shushing, and then, you can pick up and rock to sleep if that's what you have to do. And with these methods, there is going to be some crying involved, especially when baby gets a little bit older. But at this age, at 5 weeks, I do not let him cry for more than 5 minutes. And I found if I just let him cry for like 1 minute, then he just ends up going to sleep. Like his cry will end up getting to that just like, and then he goes to sleep. I don't know. It's really weird, but I do not let him cry like a long period of time, especially at this point. It's important to note that that first stretch of sleep during the night is going to be the longest. So if they sleep from 8 to 2, that first 6 hours, that's going to be their longest stretch. And then once they wake up at 2, the rest of the wakings are going to be about every like 3 hours. So they're not going to have a long stretch again. So that is something that I did not know, but I have since learned. So once your baby does wake up after that first stretch, it's important that you make sure to keep it kind of like a very transactional interaction, which feels not right, but that's just kind of what you have to do to make sure that your baby doesn't fully wake up. So what I do is I come in the room and I have this dimmable nightlight. So it's turned on right now, but you can like dim it. You can make it bright or less bright. So I use this, so helpful throughout the night to keep the room, bright so I can see what I'm doing, but also not, turn on the overhead lights. So I turn that on, get baby up, open up the swaddle. I don't talk to him at all, or if you're still in your room with your husband, like don't really talk to them. You can even just like let them sleep, or if they're needing to do something like helpful for you with pump or bottle stuff, they can do that, but just try not to talk or really interact much. So feed your baby, keep the lights dim. And then another thing is if your baby needs a diaper change, I would do that before the feeding. So making sure to get all of the things that are going to be more stimulating to the baby done before you feed them, because the feeding is going to be what's soothing to them and will make them very tired before you lay them back down for the next stretch of sleep. Okay, so that is all that I really have for you guys today. Those are just kind of my experience with sleep training and getting your baby to have a consistent schedule throughout the day that will transfer into the night and lead to a good night's sleep for both you and your baby. I hope this was helpful for some of you. Every product that I talked about will be in the description down below, so if you want to check those out to utilize for your family, definitely check out the links and you can find them that way. Biggest thing I want to say is have grace for yourself. Whatever you are doing, you are an amazing mama. The fact that you care shows that you are a great mom. So I hope this was helpful, and good luck to all of you. And I would love to just talk about your sleep experiences with your baby. And if your baby's not sleeping well, it is okay. This too shall pass. It's not going to last forever. So just remember that, and it will get better. See you guys later. Bye.